Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm getting there.
I see. I see. We'll be okay. We will arrive. It is Sacred Space Sunday. We've arrived.
Yes,
We have
it is.
arrived. Welcome. Welcome. It is the eighth month of the year, the eighth day of the year, 2021. Wow. I just can't believe how fast time flies. Right? Amazing. Amazing. So we got some good stuff today, right? A lot of stuff has been happening since we had the last Sacred Space Sunday.
Yeah, we're already in August, and it's the world is turning, as the show used to say back in the day.
Yes, yes. And that was a good one too, as the world turns. Uh, I know I didn't put it in the announcements, but also when you get to that point, please share a little bit about what you got coming up this week for those that might be interested. The conference educate for the educators. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Awesome. So we are the Niyah Center, and my name is Naomi Jewel, and I am the executive director and spiritual director of the Niyah Center. And behind me is Little King, and he's keeping it clean. So hopefully he will also keep it quiet. So welcome here to Sacred Space Sunday, where we honor the pluralism of all traditions, and we welcome you of all faiths. And even if you don't profess to have any particular tradition, that is a belief in something. So we are a space that uses ancient wisdom teachings and sacred texts to come together in conversation around faith and how we can have faith show up in our lives today and every day. So thank you so much for being here. And so if you're not joining us on Twitch, it would be great for you to make a switch to Twitch. It seems like we've got a couple of Twitch people in the house. And if so, just let us know you're here. Say good morning. Let us know who's watching so that we can send some love to you directly. If you're watching the broadcast later, we love you and are sending energy to you where you are and wherever you are. And it's August. Good morning, Auntie. Good morning. And it's August. So, are there any birthdays? If you've got some birthdays, put your birthdays in the chat, and that could be your birthday or somebody else that you're celebrating. I've got a few birthdays in my family this month. My nephew's birthday is this month. My brother's birthday is this month. Both of my brothers, my brother-in-law and my brother, both of my brothers, they have birthdays this month. So we will be doing a lot of honoring of birth this month in my family. So what about you? Let us know. Let us know in the chat. And so, you can find us here, on social media. We're on all the social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter or on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook. Follow all of our pages because if we meet every other week. And if you're ever wondering, is Sacred Space Sunday this week or was that last week? Is it next week? When is Sacred Space Sunday? You can always find out by going to our platforms because the week of Sacred Space Sunday, we will always post a flyer letting you know that Sacred Space Sunday is coming up. So you don't necessarily have to have it in your calendar, but check our social media platforms regularly for the reminder that this Sunday is Sacred Space Sunday. And if you've got any questions, any support that you need, certainly reach out to us at niahcenter@gmail.com. That's niahcenter@gmail.com. If you want to, join us in the broadcast, we have the availability to have a couple of people in the studio audience. So certainly you could come and join us in the broadcast if that's what you are looking to do. And we appreciate all of the people who support us on Twitch through the donations, through the subscriptions. Auntie, thank you. You are very much a committed subscriber on Twitch, and we thank you. All of that contributes in your love donations to us being able to sustain the mission of the Niyah Center, which is to engage, educate, and empower you today and every day. So, with that, we just really want to go ahead and get into this message. Sacred Spike Sunday will be meeting again in 2 weeks. And so, you can find us back here in 2 weeks. So, with that, let's take a moment to just find presence. So for you, that may be eyes open or eyes closed. It may be a prayer position. Let's just take a couple of cleansing deep breaths at your own pace, finding your breath, finding presence. And in this moment of presence, I give thanks for the universal love energy that is the presence of God that goes by so many names. I am grateful for my oneness with this universal love energy and my oneness with all beings, with you, wherever you are. And in our oneness, I know that we are divinely guided, divinely nurtured, that we are protected by the one spirit that knows all, is everywhere present, only knows love in abundance. And as we tap into this love abundance, it flows through us, as us, out into the world, and in the law of circulation back to us. And we find that flow in our breath. Let's breathe in love, breathe out abundance. Breathe in abundance, breathe out love. And it is that love and abundance that we take into this message today, knowing that it is fulfilling and sustaining and meets us exactly where we need to be met today. Release this to the action of the law, knowing it is already done. And so it is. Amen and Ashe. Great. So, Marc, you're here.
Back in there. Hey, baby, how you doing? I mean, you moving like money this morning. Thank you for that that powerful grounding. I get caught up when you do those moments. I really enjoyed them. I find myself realizing how much I needed it as it's happening. Right? So thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sounds like I heard some feedback. Maybe it's from the Twitch. Let me see, make sure I got it on mute. Welcome, as you said. Hello?
Say that again.
Yeah, there was some echo. So is the Twitch, maybe it's not muted?
It is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's echoing. So anyway, good to see you, Auntie. Good to see you as well. It's 11. Man, I don't think we ever got through the intro that fast. Let me see if I put my headphones on, if that makes any difference. Do you still hear the echo?
I don't hear it at all.
Okay. Give me 1 second, Sweetie. 1 second.
All right. Can you hear me? Testing.
I can. Yes, I can.
So maybe it was something with my computer. I don't hear it now. So good. You know, I'm actually really excited today. 8 is my favorite number as well. It's also my line number when I play at Fall 88. I was number 8 for Cap Alpha Psi down at Florida A&M. And you know, if you turn 8 on its side, it's also one of the symbols of the Niyah Center, which is the infinity symbol, forever. All right. And that was really the impetus for the conversation that we're going to have today. Right. That was really the impetus for the conversation we're going to have today. I was thinking about forever. And what is forever? So are we ready to jump into it?
Yeah. Did you have an affirmation you wanted to start with?
Yeah, actually, I do have an affirmation, and it's in the notes as well. And the affirmation is really simple, right? Today's affirmation, if you could just and I'm gonna come back to this again, but Now, before we do it, I want you just to take a moment, as they already did the posture of presence. So just take 3 cleansing breaths, and that could be slow breath in, exhale out, all right, whatever's there, and do that 3 times. And then if you could repeat after me, I am forever blessed. I am forever blessed. Just let the words resonate with your mind, body, and heart. I am forever blessed. And as you just sit still with that for a moment, and just note what comes to your mind. Don't try to force anything there, but what comes to your mind. And I'd love just to, for those in the chat, what came to your mind as you repeated that affirmation, I am forever blessed, 3 times? What came to your mind? Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Noreen. Good to see you. Grand Rising. Yes. I am forever blessed. How about you, Nee?
Peace. It gives a sense of peace. A knowing that even in the unknowing, that all is divinely unfolding.
I love that. Auntie says, God is immutable and will always and forever bless me. Ooh, that's a big word there. And immutable. I'm about to look that up. I got some context clues, but
Unchanging.
I want to make sure I got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unchanging. Undestroyable.
Always and forever.
Absolute.
Right.
Absolute.
Yeah. So I'm not just blessed on Sundays. I'm not just blessed on at this period of my life. I am forever blessed. Which I think is a great lead in. What did Noreen say? Peace of mind came to her, right? Life, grades for the last few semesters. Yeah. Yeah. So many things. Friends and family. Absolutely. Absolutely. And as I was putting this message together, affirmation came really clear. And I was like, is that it, God? It's kind of short. Is that it? He's like, yeah, that's it. So that's what we're going with, right?
It's a lot. It's a lot in it, right?
Yeah.
And because if you say that as your mantra, because the affirmations, we ask that you say them at least twice a day. We offer that you maybe save it as the screen on your cell phone, because you're constantly looking at your cell phones. So put your mantra as your save screen on your cell phone, so that you say it throughout the day. Because as things are happening, great, and things that we perceive as and categorize as not so great, to constantly remember I am forever blessed, will have you seeing the small blessings that aren't small, but in the moment may seem like the small blessings. So I love it.
Right. And our request is with the affirmations is that you say it daily, right, for at least 7 days, right? And just be with it, and what I've added for this particular one, I do the 3 cleansing breaths before you say it. Say it at a pace that really just allows you to connect with it, internally in your mind as well as in your heart, and then just sit still with it afterwards for I'd say for a count of 3, and just know what comes to mind as you do that on a daily basis. So I am forever blessed. So that's the affirmation, Nee, for this.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing there is more.
Yeah. Well, that's the affirmation. There's no more affirmations, but you want to get ready? You want to get into the talk?
Yeah, absolutely. No time like the present.
No time like the present. So as a matter of fact, because I see my screen let me lift my camera up a little bit for you all. Feel like that's a little better. Okay.
It is much better.
Yeah. Um, so the title of today's topic is Forever, Forever, Ever.
Forever, never, ever, ever.
And some of you may say that sounds familiar, right? Forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. And we'll get to that in a second. But my question that as I can't, the reason I have a question mark is forever, ever really a thing? Right? It's like, is it really a thing, or is it just a great idea that makes a person feel good? And I will look to unfold that as we talk. But before I get into, let me tell you a story. So there was this young lady that I was really enamored with, and I was looking to express to her how I was feeling about her in a way that was uh, personable and I thought unique to me. And so there's a part of me that's a bit romantic. And so I went to the store and I got a bag of Hershey's Kisses, right? And the little silver things wrapped up like a little dollop, bag of Hershey's Kisses, and I put them in like a box with some tissue paper, and I wrote a card, and the card said something around, may these kisses represent, it's not enough of them, but when I'm not with you, just know that I'm thinking of you, and have a kiss to remind you of me, right? And I signed it FFF, forever, for always, for life. And I at that time didn't know where that came from. I hadn't seen that anywhere. And as we continued in relationship with her, I continued to sign cards, FFF. And it made me think, as I was putting this message together, is that really a thing, or is it just a great idea? Right now, the title came from there's a number of songs that talk about forever and always and forever. So one of the songs, the music intimates that forever is associated with love that lasts through all times, right? Outkast had a song, Miss Jackson. There's a verse by Andre 3000. Actually, it's the second verse of the song. And as he's talking about it, he's, reads on down. He was like, 10 times out of 9. Now, if I'm lying, fine. The quickest muzzle, throw it on my mouth and I'll decline. King meets queen, then the puppy love thing. Together dream about that crib with the Goodyear swing on the oak tree. I hope we feel like this forever. Forever? Forever, ever? So that's where that came from, right? And it's a pretty famous song. And he goes on, and I won't read the rest of the verse, but maybe I'll play it in the after space. But then there's also the very popular R&B ballad. Now, when I came up, we called them slow jams or love songs. I don't know if they still call them that now, or even if there is such a thing anymore, slow jams or love songs. But there was one song that was written by this group called Heatwave in 1976. It was called Always and Forever. And I'm sure, particularly if you're in my generation or before, you are familiar with this song, right? It is a classic. Luther went on to remake it later. Luther Vandross went on to remake it later, but Always and Forever, right? And so as the music tells me that, forever is forever, right? And so it got me to thinking of how long is forever when we're talking about humans, right? See, a human being cannot serve another human being any longer than he or she lives, right? So as I think about this definition, the definition as forever for a human being really says as long as the factors which set the conditions exist, right? As long as the factors which set the conditions exist. And so in my mind, I'm trying to work this out because that seems contradictory, because forever got to mean forever, for eternity, infinity, as long as time goes on. But it says as long as the factors which set the conditions exist. And so I went to the Bible and I wanted to see a little bit more about what did the Bible say about forever? And there's a passage in Psalms chapter 111, and I'll just read a couple of verses from that. 111:3 says, "His work is honorable and glorious, and his righteousness endureth forever." Right? Verse 7, it goes on to say, "The works of his hands are verity and judgment. All his commandments are sure. They stand fast forever and ever and are done in truth and uprightness." Right? And the last verse of that chapter is verse 10, chapter 111. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever." So there's some examples of God being forever. He's honorable forever. His true forever. His covenant. God has never made a promise and broke it. So as I look at the Bible, it talks about God having this thing that's forever beyond human comprehension, right? Because it's talking about as long as the conditions exist, right? And so there are no conditions with God, right? And so, and then that last verse I read, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom." And so I want to unpack that, because when I hear the word fear, I think the horror movie, get scared, right? And I don't believe that's what they're talking about here, right? And really, if you do a little bit of research into it, what it to fear God really means to have a sense of respect and awe, right? There's some translations of the Bible, such as the New International Version, which have actually replaced the word fear with reverence. All right. So if I go back and look at that last verse again, the awe of God is the beginning. The reverence of God is the beginning of wisdom. Right. And when I have that, right, I'll do his commandments, and his praises endure forever. So anyway, I thought that was interesting, because as this forever ever just continue to ring with me, and I think there's more to it, God. I like, what actually lasts forever. If we're saying that as long as the factors which set the conditions exist, then what actually lasts forever? Is there anything that lasts forever? And what came to me is that there is only one thing. There is only one thing. Now, open to your thoughts and opinions, and we love to see them in the chat and discuss. But the only thing that lasts forever is truth. See, truth endures forever. Now, we're not talking about my truth or your truth, or truth as has been told, or truth as has been altered. We're talking about pure, unadulterated truth. Right. And there's a passage in Isaiah 55, verse 10, 11. And it says, "The rain and snow come down from the heavens and stay on the ground to water the earth, producing seed for the farmer and bread for the hungry. It is the same with my word. I send it out, and it always produces fruit. It will accomplish all I want it to, and it will prosper everywhere I send it." Let me read that again. I think that's powerful. I want to, because we said truth is the only thing that endures forever. And the scripture that I got to back that is Isaiah 55, verses 10 and 11. "The rain and snow come down." Oh, Lord, sorry about that. Got too excited here. "Come down from the heavens and stay on the ground to water the earth. They cause the grain to grow, producing seed for the farmer and bread for the hungry. It is the same with my word. I send it out, and it always produces fruit. It will accomplish all I want it to, and it will prosper everywhere I send it." Right? So, what is the truth then? You know, we hear about fake news, and history's been altered, and so the truth, as I understand it, and what I offer you is that here is the truth. I'm going to read this verse. Many people have probably heard this verse. It comes from John, Saint chapter 1, verse 1, and it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Right? He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. Now, all these hymns are small h's, right? Now, what has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. Right? So, stay with me for this because I don't want you to miss this. I'm going to reread that, right? But I'm going to replace the word he and him with you, right? So just let this hit your heart as you hear this. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You were in the beginning with God. All things came into being through you, and without you, not one thing came into being. What has come into being in you was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. I'm going to ask that you look that on your own. You check that verse out and you read it to yourself aloud, replacing he and him with you, right? And, you know, so why do you do that, Mark? What are you trying to show me here? And so it's kind of like, you know, they show you the prequel, you know, you go to see a movie, you know, this really goes back to the first chapter in the Bible, in the creation story in Genesis, right? You know, and the first chapter lays it all out really clear for us. Okay? Because God said, let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon earth. God blessed them, and God said to them, right, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and birds of the air, and over every other living thing that moves upon the earth. God saw everything that he made, and indeed it was very good. Right? And so it to me it's really clear, right? They say, Mark, why did you go back in John? Why did you take he out and put it you? Because right here it says it. Made in God's image, according to God's likeness. To have dominion over, to be fruitful, and to bring forth more. See? You were in the beginning with God. All things came into being through you, and without you, not one thing came into being. Now, this is not blasphemy. I know some people might be over there like, oh, Lord, what are you talking about? No, this ain't blasphemy. Because if you read that creation story of all the things that were created by God, the only thing that was made in God's image and according to God's likeness was us. And he blessed it. He blessed us. Therefore, I am forever blessed. I am forever blessed. I am forever blessed. Forever? Forever, ever? Yes, forever. Because the truth is that you were made in God's image. And as you heard me read earlier in Isaiah, I send it out and it always produces fruit. It will accomplish all I want it to, and it will prosper everywhere I send it. Yeah. So let me give you the insight plus application to go along with this, because I needed to be reminded that I am forever blessed. Because there's sometimes situations and circumstances will have me forget that I ain't got enough money, God. What's going to happen? Me and my the relationship is being tested right now, God. I forget easily because of the situation and circumstances that I am forever blessed, right? And I actually forget that God told me to go out and take care of this thing. And everything that comes will come through me because he's with me and I'm with him. Right. And so what I suggest is as the insight plus application, since we talked about earlier that forever in many places people think about love. And so I'm going to ask you to, one, make a love list. Right? Insight plus application equals results. Here's the thing for you to do for the next 7 days to get some results immediately in your life. One is make a love list. You say, Mark, what's a love list? Well, it's going to contain a list of at least a list of 3 people that you love dearly, and at least 3 people that love you dearly. Now, you can be more; it's not limited to that, but let's at least have those, and just the first 3 to come into your mind. You don't have to pick and ponder. I really love dearly. Just if they came to your mind, they go on the list. 3 people that you love dearly, and 3 people that love you dearly. We call this your love list. Now, once you have your love list, what I want you to do is say their name aloud, pause, and with a smile, say aloud, let them know you really care. So let me say that step 2 again. So you're going to say their name aloud, pause for a moment, smile, and say out loud that you really care. Then the third thing I'm going to ask you to do is to add your name to that love list and repeat the process for 7 days. Like song from Heat Wave says, every day, love me your own special way. Melt all my heart away with a smile. Take time to tell me you really care, and we'll share tomorrow together. I'll always love you forever. Forever? Forever, ever? Mr. Man, Pastor Christmas, sorry I'm 30 minutes late. Don't worry about it. Thank you, brother, for checking in. You can always look at the replay for what you missed. Heat wave, absolutely, absolutely. Ah. So, Nay, you want to come on back in and join me? Kept it short and sweet today. There's a lot to unpack in that. You got to unmute. Okay. What'd you say?
So there's a lot going on today.
There's a lot going on. Yeah. Latanya Johnson, I'm late too. It's good to see you, Latanya. Good to see you. Look,
We're
hey,
happy to have you whenever you arrive.
right. I felt the energy. I felt your energy as soon as you came in.
Yep. Yep. And that's why we record it, because it's always available on YouTube.
Yeah, and
all
I
our
said
broadcasts are always available on YouTube.
and this is one of those talks that I said a lot, right? And some of it may be considered controversial, right? And I'm open to that, and I have that awareness, and I'm not attached that to others. Okay. Yeah, I'm not attached to others seeing it the same way. But that's what Sacred Space Sunday is all about, right? Right? Is respecting those other traditions that folks may adhere to, uh, and putting something out there for us to think about. So I'm, you know, what you thinking over there?
So I'm curious because sometimes, like I said, these messages come to us, as, divine downloads, and it can be as, startling to us as it is sometimes to the listeners. it could be a call forward for us. I mean, we're humans, we're the vessels, we're the channels. And so, a lot of times it's hitting us, even though we're saying the message as much as it's hitting others. So I'm curious, as you came up with this message, what were some of the points where, as it was coming through your heart, or as you were jotting it down in your notes, you were kind of like, ooh, and it just, had you pause.
Yeah.
So what particularities about your own message kind of
Yeah.
hit home?
Well, I wanted to start with the music because that's what really just kept coming to me. And I went and looked at the lyrics. I wanted to see what was, like I said, most people know that song. Hey, Raquel, forever, but they know that line, right? But I said, what were the words around that? And so I wanted to see what Andre was talking about. And it's interesting because he's talking about a relationship, and they was hoping they was going to build this life together. I start off with talking about forever, for always, for life, the 3F. And what happens, forever never seems that long until you're gone. And notice that the day-by-day ruler can't be too wrong. Miss Jackson, my intentions were good. I wish I could become a musician to abracadabra all the sadder thoughts of me, thoughts of she, thoughts of he, asking what happened to the feeling that her and me had. I pray so much about it, need some knee pads. It happened for a reason. One can't be mad. So know this, know that everything's cool. And yes, I will be present on the first day of school and graduation. And so as I read that, it started to say, well, what is forever? Right? And from a spiritual context, because like you said, my intentions were good. I think when I've said it, or I've heard other people say, I don't think that they didn't mean it. They were just saying it, right? But sometimes things happen. And so it got me to saying, is there such thing as forever? Right? And so it was interesting as the Bible, as it talks about forever, from a human standpoint, it says as long as those set of factors which set the conditions exist, right? Which is interesting because to me, what that's saying is that's a back door. It gives you out. So forever really isn't a commitment. It's just as long as those conditions in which I said it exists.
Sometimes, yes, for sure.
Yeah, and so then I became really conflicted with it because that, to me, forever then is not infinity to the end of time. And started to do some more research in that. So what hit for me is this truth endures forever, real pure truth. And I thought that it said, I couldn't find a better way to say it than it said in Isaiah 55 when it was like, and I like the way it started. The rain and the snow come down from the heavens and stay on the ground to water the earth, right? They cause the grain to grow and produce a seed for the farmer and bread for the hungry. So like things happen in life and they happen for a reason. They have some good, right? But it's the same with my word. I'll send it out and it always produces fruit. And I was like, they say God has never failed. God has never broken a promise.
That's the immutable.
Immutable.
That's the universe always says yes.
So that's what I think I needed to be reminded of. That's what came when I was putting this talk together. That's what I need to be because situations and circumstances will have me losing focus on that and missing, like he told us in Genesis. He told us in the very beginning, the prequel. And he blessed them. He made us and then blessed us. And everything makes prosper. So that's what I needed to be reminded of, because I need to reconnect to the spiritual piece of that within me to get through these situations and circumstances that the human piece wants to focus on.
So I like that. I think that's a through line. And so, curious with those listening, think about that, reconnecting to the spiritual piece so that in the midst of the human piece that it gets all caught up in the situations and circumstances and is completely led by the ego, which is edging God out, right?
Mm,
the ego, which is edging God out.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so caught up in the human piece, going here, there, and everywhere, and then wonder why things feel kind of here, there, and everywhere. And so, you know, just reminder of connecting to that spiritual piece, just thinking about that tension, that we as human beings, as beings, are going to constantly wrestle and grapple with. Just curious with those who are listening, think about that, and what comments and thoughts come up for you. Thank you, Mr. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's the work. It's we have these talks, and each week the messages are different, and yet the messages are the same, right?
Yeah, this is
There,
abundance, right? I mean, it's a oneness. Right? It's love. It's all of those principles, which are true. King, would you stop fussing in there, that little old man King? You saying amen? Or you saying ouch? you know, and I went back and forth on that. Can you hear me? Because apparently my sound is coming through my sound is coming through my computer. But anyway, I'll put these. Can you hear me now?
yes,
Okay, we'll try to make it work.
much
Uh,
better.
yeah. So what's clear? I tell you what, I really wrestled was that we're changing John 1 verses 1, taking the he and him out and putting the you in, right? And I thought about what would people think, you know, what would they think, what is he saying, and all those kind of things. But I felt like it came to me for a reason, and I just went with it.
Well, the irony about you making that decision is that, as you were saying it and as you were reading it, because you highlighted, you said the him is a little h. And I'm thinking to myself from my, womanist teachings and my interfaith perspective, and also my practical vocation in DEI. And I'm like, yeah, he should really change that language, that him. I was like, those were put together at a time, where society was very, androcentric, meaning male centric, right? And everything was male. And as it turns out, then you came behind it and said, let me put you in there. So, again, the affirmation of going with your heart, because that's exactly what I was thinking. He needs to substitute that
Yeah,
him.
and him or her or she, or they still keeps it distant.
Yes.
What I liked about you is that it makes it personal.
Yes. We're saying
Him, you talk about you
things.
talk about anybody,
Yes.
right? Let me for those maybe that missed it. Let me read the verse. It's John chapter 1, but I'm not going to say the he's and the him. I'm going to read it with the yous. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You were in the beginning with God. All things came into being through you, and without you, not one thing came into being. What has come into being in you was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. And what I said is, if you need something to support why I say you can put you in there, go to Genesis chapter 1, the creation story, and it tells you right there. Right. It tells you. I mean, so if you don't agree with the Bible, that's fine. Right? Right? It tells you right there, you made in his image, and all that they just said in the beginning was with God. What came through you was life. And God bless. I am blessed forever. It just flowed. It was different pieces, but it just all just came together. Nay. Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate that.
Yes.
He says, "What
Absolutely.
about her?" Yeah, Brian. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying take him or her. We don't want a him or her. We want it to be you. Put you in there. You were in the beginning.
And you can substitute whatever pronouns you want to for yourself.
You can put your name in there. Brian was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through Brian. And without Brian, not one thing. See, what this does is elevates your connection to who you are. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's easy for just little old me, not somebody that's made in the image. What do you say? In our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over everything.
That's the oneness of the oneness, joy, and love.
Yeah, over everything. And he said, I'm blessed. And when he blessed it, as he told us in Isaiah, everything will prosper everywhere I send it.
Right.
So we just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, and the key is it's a blessing and a call forward, right?
And I'm preaching to myself right now, y'all. So that's why I'm really excited, because I needed this message from me.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a call forward, right? You know, that it was one with you. Everything came through you. So again, that's that universe always says yes. But what are you asking it to say yes to? What's coming through you, right? Things that are serving you in the world, or things that are not serving you in the world. Because it's all going to come through, because you've been given that divine power, but also the autonomy to wield that power.
Yeah.
And so how are we wielding this tremendous blessing that we've been given?
Right. And I love what has come into being in you was life. And that life was the light of all people. See, that's an uplift, right? You're like, man. And anybody that's got some creation, got evidence of life in that way. But we ain't just talking about because you're having children, life.
Which, again, just in terms of connecting, yes, thank you, Noreen, connecting the dots. Yes, what was coming through you is life. And that is why we breathe. That's why we connect to our breath. That's why we pause. That's why breath is so powerful, because breath is our evidence of life. Breath is life. So that whole, what we were given is life, is what we were given is breath.
All right, we talked about that the last time we talked about that. Inhale and exhale, right?
Exactly.
Inspiration, bring it in the spirit. Expiration, right? Sharing it back with the world.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm, I know you had asked folks to put in the chat, and we maybe missed it because we started talking what's coming up for them with this talk. Whether you agree or if you even have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. And we know that there's a little delay before they'll hear this. But Nay, what came up for you with this?
It's really just been the comments that I've been making, right? The revolving around oneness and breath and life, and what is forever is truth, and what is truth, in my estimation, is the existence of the creator that goes by all names. So truth, I often use that as a substitute for God, right? God is love, God is truth. And so truth is that immutable. It is that force. It is that energy. It is that love essence. It is that, omnipresence, that omnipotence, that omniscience. That is truth. That's what's forever. And through our oneness with that is enduring in us and as us. But we've got to remember and actually intentionally seek to connect to it, to have it show up in our life in a way that is most powerful. It's never not there. It's always there. But, to the extent we're disconnected from it, our circumstances and experiences can, and just our peace or lack of peace can reflect that.
That's interesting. As you were speaking that, a couple of comments
Absolutely,
came in.
Cheryl.
Yeah, and I want to get to hers. But Mr. Mann says, I connect with you talked about connecting and demonstrating that oneness. As he was typing that. Animals have breath and life. So does this apply to them?
I believe that all beings are created, and all beings deserve the same respect. So yes, absolutely, it applies to animals. But not limited to all that lives. I mean, I commune with the trees on a regular basis. That was one of the reasons, you hear me about how much I love moving back to Maryland and being among trees and grass. I personally feel like trees are the wisest among the wisest on this planet because they've been around the longest. When I take a walk, I'm not just walking, I'm walking and talking to the trees. So I believe in that life-giving force has created all, and it all deserves respect, and that there is a oneness that we have with all life, all forms of life.
Was that your, I guess I wanted to be clear, was that your question? Does the oneness relate to the animals, or were you asking does something else apply to them?
Yes. Let us know.
Yeah, because I agree with what you said, Nay, with the oneness. We're connected with the drop of water in the ocean, right? Right. Right. So, what I think before, if you look at the order of the creation story, it was, without form and void, and as things were created, demonstrating what's possible.
Yeah. So, Brian, this is great. And so you'll hear a lot of perspectives from people of faith on this point here. And so a lot of people have a lot of perspectives on this. And I'm
gonna put that verse in the chat. Go ahead, Nay.
And so, how you answer this question will be based on your own perspective, right? And so some answer this question based on traditionally what has been taught in the United States in Christian churches. But anytime we're doing serious interpretation of a text, it is helpful to look at, the words themselves, what language they were written in, and what meaning they had. Right. And so this dominion, right? Dominion can mean a lot of things. So dominion can be, in my opinion, the way that humankind has taken it to mean power over, hierarchy.
I think it means care for.
Better than. Yeah.
To care for.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry, baby.
Yeah. So some take this to mean power over, which means, hierarchy, better than, level up, level above. But it also could mean, and is often interpreted, and certainly when you look at the context of the text, at a time when life was being created in an egalitarian way, meaning there was respect for all life and all life was to work together in community in an interconnected way so that all thrive, then humans were given this role kind of like as a blessing, like, because I'm giving you a little bit extra because I'm really trusting you to take care of everybody else, to make sure you're good and everybody else is good, that all the other beings are good, that all that this planet that you have been gifted is good. So that dominion is to be over them as the caretakers, the nurturers, the one that they make sure that they're okay.
Yeah, it's our responsibility as the owner of one of the verses that Miriam says is absolute. Stop it. You want to give the break? It says
Well,
absolute.
I wouldn't say
Absolute.
owners.
Well, so let me stay with that. You know what I'm saying? That's what. But if you own a car, you're responsible, taking care of gas, keeping it clean, all these things. And so dominion, to me, the way I interpret it is like, yeah, we've got a responsibility to make sure that all this stuff is taken care of. And we do that by what we say, because our words create what we do, because that has a direct effect, right? All of that is affecting all of those things. And if we need something else, speak it, bring it to existence. So that's the way I interpret. Not dominion like slave, master.
Yeah, and I would take owner out of it, because I would offer on a spiritual level, we don't own anything. Most of us don't.
Ownership.
We don't, spiritually, we don't have ownership of anything, right?
Okay.
Our life is given to us and it can be taken away. we don't own these houses. How many people got their houses taken? And even if your house is paid for, the government can come and swoop it up, right? What do you own? What do you take away from you when that breath stops?
So I hear. I don't want to lose the focus on what he's saying. So that's we could agree to have difference in interpretation of the word.
I
Right?
thought you said you wanted feedback, even if we didn't have the same opinion. I thought I heard you
I
say
do.
that.
I'm just saying I don't want to take away from his question. We're talking about. I don't want to lose focus on that and get into ownership versus dominion. Right? What is it? That's all I'm saying. I'm saying. Look, I already know you can't argue with a lawyer. First of all, you can barely even have a conversation with them because they always structuring it in the way that lawyers do. Right. But really, it goes back to what you said earlier. The universe always says yes. And the reason the universe always says yes goes back to this creation story. Right. I didn't put all. You see, I skipped some verses. You'll see some things in there if you look that whole. When he talks, God said, "I gave you everything you need." He talks about the seeds that bear fruit that bear seeds, whatever the type of food to eat. I gave you everything you need, right, for you. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, what they call that when the domain
Eminent domain.
eminent domain is real.
Yeah,
sure.
You don't pay for it, and the government say, "Guess what? It's mine."
Yep, for sure.
And yes, all over this country, Latanya, all over this country. That is one of the huge things that has been done as urban planning, where people's possessions per se have been taken to make way for someone else's policy.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Ironically, they were talking about that on Raising Cain, the Stars show yesterday. They raised that issue. They mix in a little bit of deep substantive in the midst of the soap opera drama.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back. The universe always says yes for a reason, right? And if if you start where there was nothing, then it's like, okay, let me make a structure. Then there was all this water. It's like, okay, fill this water up with some creatures. Then maybe land. Fill this land up with some creatures and some plants and some sources. Now, they've got their own ecosystems, right? To feed, to live. But then he's like, let me get man. Take care of all of this. And all of this is here to take care of man. That's why the universe always says yes.
Good.
Love you too, Auntie. Auntie, she be keeping us on track. She put it. It's about 12 o'clock when she gives us that. I love you too, Auntie.
Yes, we love you and appreciate you more than you know. So with that, Mark, you want to give them a
question.
close out?
There might have been one more question that I saw. Cheryl had a follow-up. Oneness does relate, but what do we do with this? I think that's after we were talking about the animal.
What do we do with oneness?
Well, this is what the question
that's
says.
That's an individual question, but I would offer in our oneness, to the extent that we're really aware and believe that there is no other. And what does it mean to exist in a society where there is no other? That means as you walk down the street and you see people, do you see them as other? Do you see them as separate from you? Or to some extent as an extension? As you encounter all forms of life, do you see it as other? Or do you see it as an extension of you? And when I say as an extension of you, if you believe that there was a divine creator from whence all things were created. From it, not apart from it, from it. And in that connection that we have, that drop of water in the ocean, right? That you're not, if you're the drop of water, you're not separate from the ocean. And for the drop of water to hold itself as separate from the ocean means it has no sense of its identity. And to drop of water to operate as if it's separate in the ocean is pure insanity and would create something that looks like insanity. So I would say, what do we do with this? That's an individual decision, but this is why we come together and talk about these things. This is why we elevate this. This is why you have the practice of remembering. That is the faith part, the practice of remembering your oneness with source. And through that oneness with source, you are connected to all beings. And as you move and have your being in this planet, that we each get to make decisions that are conscious of and consistent with our faith.
Yeah. I'd add to that in terms of it's a reminder and it's empowering, right? Because we were talking about connected to the animals and the other things, but you're also connected to the source that made all of this. That's in you. That's in me. That's in Nate, right? And when I think about when things seem to be going a different way, I get to reconnect to the source, and those things don't have control over it. With my word, but I gotta really believe it.
And you went back to the prequel to Genesis. And so if you are someone who follows the Bible, right, and not everyone uses that as their source text, but if you are someone that follows the Bible, because to the point on the other beings, if we really see the source, the God in all beings, would we all be vegan? Right. So that's a question. And we had your dad on there that really talked about that. And so if you're talking about source material, and if you're talking about the beginning, now the Bible does change its track. In the beginning, which is what we were talking about today, we were absolutely vegans. God intended it and said it in the Bible, right? If that's what you follow as a source
there's
text.
the verse
And
that talked about the food, right, for us to eat.
Yes. Yes, it says that everything's been given to you basically from the ground to be able to eat. It says that. But then later, they do switch to, eating animals and flesh and meat. So, again, this is where each has to do their own studying, their own interpretations, and follow the faith that makes sense for them.
Yeah. But really, I just this is meant to be empowering for I am blessed. You are blessed forever. I am blessed. We are blessed forever because God said so. And God doesn't say things that don't prosper, doesn't do things that aren't fruitful. Wouldn't have made you if you weren't meant to be that, right? If I wasn't meant to be that. And so even though sometimes situations and circumstances may look different, it's meant to be a reminder and an empowering thing to get, yeah. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know when the Bible was written. It's been put together over periods of time. Obviously there wasn't paper.
So it wasn't like a story that was written down and it wasn't created at one time. There are many different sources, and it was done over hundreds of years that got compiled. And there are parts that humans have chose to include in what is called the Bible. And there are also stories that got penned that humans have chosen to not include. And that's why, depending on how, if you're talking about from a Christianity, depending on how you practice Christianity as a Catholic, as an Orthodox Greek, or as, depending on how you practice it, then what you call the sacred text isn't always exactly the same. But
Right.
The stories about Jesus were not compiled and penned till hundreds of years after his death. So, just put that in put that in your mind and
And
do
so you
with
got
it
to imagine the
what you
same
will.
thing with the prophets and stuff. It was probably very similar. These were
Right,
stories that were passed down word of mouth, and then somebody at some point wrote them down. Okay?
right.
Right.
And so there's a lot of human involvement
Yeah.
in it. So that's just
Yeah.
something to
Yeah.
be aware of.
You know, we're gonna get ready to switch to the after space, but so if you, I want to show y'all this original Heat Wave live performance, and I think I'm gonna show you Miss Jackson too in the after space. It's a good video for those who may not have seen it or remember it. But before we do this, so we want to give you time to go ahead and if you're on Facebook, you know, Brian, I see you're on Facebook. Go ahead over to Twitch, man. If you actually just type this into your browser, twitch.tv/Niyah Center, you can join us there. And the reason I say that is because they won't let me play the music on YouTube or play it here on Facebook if you're watching us from on those platforms. I actually take the whole video down, and we don't want to do that, right? So we're going to be switching
Love
to
you
Twitch.
back.
Thank you. Love you too, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate your support. Hey, share the video with somebody first. You know, share it. You know, share the broadcast with your page, man, with other folks, man. And we like to spread the word, right? I appreciate you. So, you know, we're going to, before we switch though, we will close out with a prayer. We'll close out with a prayer. We want to send blessings of oneness, love, and joy to all those here and near and far, those in our hearts, those in our minds, those on your love list. Someone you know that's maybe just having a hard time physically or emotionally. I want to send a moment just to say thank you. Thank you for oneness. Thank you for the connection to the source that is within me, that is within those that are listening or watching, the source which gives us the ability to create, to do, to live, to be fruitful, to multiply, to grow. Lord, thank you for the reminder of actually who I am. Thank you for the reminder of who the others are. And thank you for the courage to step into that, even in situations that seem untenable or seem unbearable or threatening. Like, can I really do it? Am I enough? Is it? Yes, because we are forever blessed. Because you said so. And Lord, you've not broken a promise or a covenant up to now. I don't think you're going to start doing it now. So Lord, if I'm having a hard time in my relationship, if my finances are funny, if my body's got aches and pains, if my mind is just streaming, I know you're with me. I know you're with those that are in that situation. Lord, you see that person that's just been crying. Lord, they just don't know. They just can't stop crying. The depression. Lord, you see those that are in a series of spirals of despite and despair. You see those hearts that have just been hardened because of the ways and experiences they've had, Lord. And we know, Lord, that those are real for them. And so are you. And I ask that, Lord, that you send them a message, Lord. You send them a reminder. You send them a cool, gentle breeze on a hot day. You send them a ray of sun in a cloudy day. You send them something that lets them remind them that you are with them and they are blessed. Lord, maybe it's in me to make a call or write a letter or go make an appearance to demonstrate your love, but to let them know that they're blessed. Whatever it is, Lord, we ask that you just allow us to connect to the source, to the divine guidance, and let our egos be put to the side. In your name we pray. We thank you. Amen. And so it is. And she man and you man.
Beautiful. And thank you all who have subscribed and resubscribed. Lakita and others that have resubscribed today. I think we had some other people resubscribe. Big Wolf
Awesome.
2, thank you for your resubscription.
Who?
And for both Big Wolf 2
Oh,
or
okay.
3.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Two. Yeah.
2. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your subscriptions. And yeah. Oh.
Laquita, look at you. I thought you were still dancing. I thought you were recovering from all that dancing you was doing. How many steps did you end up with last night?
You get your 20,000 steps in. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, she had a bunch of steps. It was way more than 10,000.
It's motivating. It's
Hey,
motivating.
Laquita, I'll say, I've known Laquita a long time. We went to school together. Dr. Laquita, Dr. Blockson. I remember when the parties first started, 5,000 steps, and you were coming on video. And I know you've been a avid listener and obviously a dancer. It looks like you've been working out. Like you've worked some things out and off. You're looking good, sister. You're looking good. So keep it up. It's working for you.
It's motivation. It's motivation.
Yeah.
Motivation.
Did I say that last night, Nay?
Yep. So we see you and we see you and we see all of you and thank you and appreciate you. And so we're going to switch over to Twitch right now and listen to a little bit of music. Marc's got some stuff queued up, and so join us there if you can. C Sharp, we heard you getting your shout outs last night too. We were like, oh, C Sharp up late tonight. He's in the chat. So if you aren't following DJ Vince Adams, then follow DJ Vince Adams, and you'll get to see all the fun that we are able to have together. They're although we're far apart. So follow DJ Vince Adams if you aren't already.
This is my brother. I went to school with Vince since I guess he was in 3rd grade. I was in 4th grade. Nope, not that one.
Yes.
All right. We got one more.
C Sharp. I was like,